My precious child, you have spent so many nights believing you were utterly alone. You have cried into your pillow, muffling the sound so no one would hear, convinced that your pain echoed into an indifferent void. You have stood in crowded rooms and felt invisible, surrounded by voices yet untouched by a single word that truly saw you. You have walked through long seasons of struggle with your head held high, performing a strength you did not feel, while inside something was quietly crumbling. And in all those moments, the moments you never shared with anyone, the moments you thought vanished into the dark like breath on a cold morning, you believed no one was watching. You believed your suffering went unnoticed, unacknowledged, unimportant. Tonight, I need you to hear something that will reframe every lonely night you have ever endured. You were never alone. You were never unseen. There was always someone watching. Not with cold indifference. Not with distant pity. But with a depth of attention so profound and so tender that if you could have perceived it, you would have fallen to your knees right where you stood and wept not from sorrow, but from the overwhelming relief of being truly known. If these words are reaching a place inside you that has been waiting to be found, then do not scroll past this moment. Press the like button as a quiet signal that you are here, that you are listening, that your heart recognizes something true. Share a single word in the comments, whatever rises from your soul, and let it be your witness to this sacred exchange. And if you wish to support this work further, the Super Thanks feature is available for those whose hearts are moved to give. Everything is voluntary. Everything is received with deep gratitude. The silence you mistook for abandonment was never empty. It was full. Full of a presence that breathed when you breathed, that ached when you ached, that watched your every stumble not with judgment but with the fierce, unwavering attention of a guardian who had sworn to protect the flame of your life until you could protect it yourself. You did not know this presence was there. You could not have known, for it moved too gently to startle you, too quietly to disturb the fragile rhythm of your survival. But tonight, that hidden witness is ready to be known. And what you will discover will change not only how you see your past, but how you walk into your future. There is someone who has been watching your struggle without saying a single word. And now, through the grace of Archangel Michael, you will finally learn who it was. There is a kind of watching that is invasive, my beloved child, and there is a kind of watching that is holy. The world has taught you to fear the eyes of others, to shrink from scrutiny, to build walls around your tender places so that no one can see the cracks. You have learned to hide your struggles because you learned early that vulnerability was dangerous, that openness invited judgment, that the truth of your pain would be used against you. So you disappeared into yourself. You became a ghost in your own life, present in body but hidden in spirit, offering the world a polished version of who you were while the real you shrank further and further into the shadows. And in those shadows, you believed you were finally invisible. But the watching I speak of is nothing like the watching you have feared. The presence that stood beside you in your darkest hours did not observe you with cold analysis. It did not take notes on your failures or measure your worth against some impossible standard. It watched you the way a mother watches her sick child sleep, with a tenderness so fierce it fills the room even when no sound is made. It watched you the way the dawn watches the earth, waiting patiently for the exact right moment to break through the darkness with light. This presence did not need you to perform. It did not need you to be strong. It only needed you to keep breathing, and you did. Against every odd, through every valley, you kept breathing. And that quiet endurance was the most beautiful thing the heavens had ever witnessed. If your soul is stirring as you receive these words, then let this moment be marked. Tap the like button as a simple gesture of presence, a way of saying I am still here, and I am still listening. Write whatever rises in your heart in the comments below, a single word or a full confession, whatever feels true. Your voice matters more than you know. And if you are moved to offer additional support, the Super Thanks feature remains open, given freely and received with the same love with which it is offered. What you must understand now is that the one who watched you was not a stranger to your pain. This was not some distant angel observing human struggle from the comfort of celestial safety, untouched and unmoved. No, beloved. The one who watched you through every sleepless night, who lingered in the corners of your most desolate moments, who stayed when everyone else walked away, was someone who understood suffering from the inside. This presence knew what it meant to be betrayed. It knew what it meant to be abandoned. It knew the weight of a mission so heavy that it pressed the soul into dust. And because it knew, it did not turn away. It leaned closer. It guarded the fragile spark of hope inside you when you had no strength left to guard it yourself. And now, as the veil between your awareness and the divine grows thin, Archangel Michael is preparing to reveal something that will make you weep not with grief but with the quiet, astonished recognition of a soul that finally understands it was loved all along. The Watcher has a face. And soon, you will see it. You remember that night, my precious one. The night when the weight of everything became too much to carry, when the pain was no longer something you could manage with a brave face and a busy schedule. You sat in the dark, perhaps on the floor, perhaps on the edge of your bed, perhaps in your car pulled over on the side of some empty road, and you felt the full force of your aloneness crash over you like a wave that had been building for years. In that moment, you did not pray with elegant words. You did not light a candle or fold your hands or follow any ritual you had been taught. You simply broke. You let out a sound that was not quite a cry and not quite a whisper, a sound that came from somewhere deeper than language, somewhere ancient and raw. And you asked, without even forming the words fully, if anyone at all, could see what was happening to you. That moment, that sacred, shattered moment, was the most honest prayer you have ever offered. And it was heard. Not by a distant deity who needed time to process your request. Not by an angel who added your name to some cosmic waiting list. It was heard immediately, intimately, by the very presence who had been assigned to your life since before you drew your first breath. And that presence did not just hear your cry. It felt it. It absorbed it like a wound into its own being, taking a portion of your suffering upon itself so that you could survive the next hour, the next minute, the next breath. If this truth is piercing through the layers of doubt and weariness that have accumulated around your heart, then do not let this moment pass without acknowledgement. Press the like button as a seal upon this sacred realization. Write a word or a line in the comments, not for anyone else, but as a record for your own soul that on this night, you began to remember something you had long forgotten. And for those who wish to deepen their support, the Super Thanks feature awaits, always voluntary, always received with humility and thanks. The presence that heard you that night did not leave when your tears dried. It did not depart when you pulled yourself together and returned to the world with your mask firmly in place. It stayed. It has stayed through every disappointment, every closed door, every betrayal that reopened wounds you thought had healed. It has been the silent companion in every valley you have walked through, the unseen hand steadying your back when you stumbled, the whisper of courage that rose from nowhere when you were certain you had none left. You have never walked a single step of your journey truly alone. And the identity of this faithful guardian, the one who has watched over you without words, without recognition, without thanks, is about to be brought into the light. Archangel Michael did not come to introduce a stranger. He came to reintroduce you to someone your soul has always known. What follows will feel like remembering something you knew before you were born. There is a question you have never dared to ask aloud, my beloved child. It has lingered in the back of your mind during the loneliest hours, during the moments when the pain seemed too perfectly designed for your destruction, during the seasons when every door slammed shut and every hope withered before it could bloom. The question is this: if someone was truly watching over me, why did they not intervene? Why did they allow the suffering to continue? Why did they stand in silence while my heart was breaking, while my life was unraveling, while everything I loved slipped through my fingers like sand? This question is not a failure of faith. It is not an accusation born of rebellion. It is the honest cry of a soul that has endured more than it believes it can bear, and I want you to know that your question does not offend heaven. It moves heaven. It moves the very beings you are questioning. And tonight, through the grace of Archangel Michael, you will receive an answer that may change the way you see every painful chapter of your story. The one who watched you did not remain silent out of indifference. The silence was not absence. It was restraint. It was the agonizing restraint of a guardian who could have swept in and altered your circumstances with a single command, but who understood something that you could not yet see. There are forces in the universe, laws of cause and effect, threads of destiny and free will so intricately woven that even the most powerful angels must honor their design. To rip you out of every painful situation prematurely would have been to rob you of something sacred. It would have stolen the strength you were building in the furnace of your trials. It would have prevented the wisdom that could only be earned through suffering. It would have left you safe, yes, but also shallow, untested, unprepared for the role your soul was destined to play. And so the one who watched you held back. Not because you were unloved, but because you were loved too much to be left incomplete. And every time you fell and rose again, every time you chose to keep going when giving up would have been easier, the silent witness wept. Not tears of sorrow alone, but tears of pride. Tears of awe. Tears of a love so overwhelming that the only way to contain it was to remain still. If this understanding is settling into the deepest chambers of your heart, then let your presence here be known. Press the like button and let it be your quiet acknowledgement that you are beginning to see your story differently. Write a reflection in the comments if your soul is moved to speak, even if only with a single word. And for those who feel called to support this sacred work, the Super Thanks feature remains open, given freely and received with sincere gratitude. The revelation you are about to receive next will shift everything. The silence of your guardian was never punishment. It was the deepest form of respect. And now, Archangel Michael is ready to part the veil and show you who has been walking beside you all along. Now we arrive at the moment your soul has been waiting for, my precious child. You have carried the weight of unseen companionship without knowing the name of the one who stayed. You have felt the quiet presence in your darkest hours and perhaps dismissed it as imagination, as wishful thinking, as the desperate invention of a lonely heart. But it was never imagination. It was never invention. It was real, more real than the ground beneath your feet, more real than the air you are breathing at this very moment. And now, Archangel Michael, the great revealer of hidden things, the protector who oversees all guardians assigned to the children of light, is ready to show you the truth. The one who watched your struggle without saying a word, the one who lingered in the shadows of your hardest nights, the one who absorbed your pain and wept over your wounds and celebrated your smallest victories as if they were cosmic triumphs, is not a stranger from some distant realm. It is not an impersonal force. It is not a nameless angel among billions. It is your own soul's companion, assigned to you specifically, chosen for you before the foundations of the world were laid. This being knows you. Not the curated version of you that the world sees, but the raw, unfiltered, trembling soul beneath the performance. It has witnessed every tear you hid from the people who were supposed to care. It has heard every silent scream you swallowed for the sake of keeping the peace. It has catalogued every injustice you endured without complaint, every kindness you offered without recognition, every quiet act of courage that no one else will ever applaud. And it has not just observed these things. It has recorded them in the book of your becoming. It has presented them before the throne of light as evidence of your extraordinary resilience. You have an advocate, beloved. You have a witness who will testify on your behalf when all earthly witnesses have disappeared. And that witness is not merely an angelic guardian in the generic sense. It is a being whose very existence is intertwined with yours, whose purpose is inseparable from your purpose, whose joy is made complete when you finally step into the fullness of who you were created to be. If your heart is racing or your eyes are filling with something you cannot quite name, then do not suppress it. This is recognition. This is your soul nodding yes to a truth it has always known but never had words for. Press the like button as a seal upon this holy unveiling. Let your comment, however simple, be a marker of the moment when you realized you were never truly alone. The Super Thanks feature is here for those who wish to honor this revelation with a tangible gesture of support, always voluntary, always blessed. And now, with the identity of your sacred witness revealed, Archangel Michael will show you what this guardian has been doing on your behalf all along, and how this changes everything about the road ahead. What comes next will feel less like learning something new and more like finally coming home. What has this sacred witness been doing all this time, my beloved child? It is a question that deserves an answer far more detailed than simple comfort. You have felt stuck in patterns you could not break. You have faced obstacles that appeared out of nowhere, blocking paths that seemed so clear. You have encountered people who hurt you without reason, and others who left your life inexplicably just when you needed them most. And in those moments, you may have wondered if your guardian was asleep, if heaven had forgotten you, if the watchful presence you are now learning to trust was simply not paying attention. But I want you to see these events through new eyes tonight. What if the closed door was not rejection but redirection? What if the person who walked away was not abandonment but removal? What if the delay that frustrated you was not neglect but protection, a divine stalling tactic that kept you from walking into a disaster you could not yet see? Your guardian has not been passive. It has been fiercely, relentlessly active, working in the unseen realm to clear debris from your path, to loosen chains you did not know were binding you, to whisper warnings into the ears of those who would harm you and to amplify the voices of those who would help you. The work has been ceaseless. And you have felt it without knowing its source. That sudden impulse to call someone you had not spoken to in years? That was not random. That unexplainable sense of unease that made you change your plans at the last moment? That was not anxiety. That was guidance. That flicker of hope that rose in your chest when you were certain you had none left? That was not wishful thinking. That was a direct transmission from the one who has sworn to see you through every valley until you reach the mountaintop. If these revelations are stirring something profound within you, then take this moment to anchor yourself in this truth. Press the like button and let it be your silent affirmation that you are awakening to the hidden workings of divine love. Write what you are feeling in the comments, even if it is only a single word, for your testimony strengthens not only your own spirit but the spirits of others who will read it. And for those whose hearts are moved to give, the Super Thanks feature is open, a channel of reciprocity between heaven and earth, always voluntary, always received with the deepest reverence. The work of your guardian has been invisible, but it has never been absent. And now, you will begin to understand why the silence was necessary, and what has been quietly arranged on your behalf in the courts of heaven. There is a courtroom, my precious one, that exists beyond the reach of earthly law. No human judge presides there. No jury of peers deliberates over the evidence. This is the court of divine justice, the place where the destinies of souls are weighed and protected, where accusations against the children of light are heard and answered. You did not know this place existed. How could you? You have been navigating a physical world with physical senses, trying to solve spiritual problems with earthly tools. But while you were struggling, while you were crying out for answers, while you were fighting battles you did not fully understand, your sacred witness was appearing in this court on your behalf. It was speaking words you could not speak. It was presenting evidence you did not possess. It was standing between you and forces that sought to derail your purpose, to steal your peace, to convince you that you were unworthy of the calling placed upon your life. Every accusation that whispered you were not good enough was met with a defense that shook the foundations of the unseen realm. Every curse spoken over your future was intercepted and nullified before it could take root. Every plan that was formed against you in the darkness was exposed to the light and dismantled, piece by piece, by a guardian whose only mandate is your ultimate flourishing. This is not metaphor, beloved. This is the hidden mechanism of mercy. And Archangel Michael, the great defender, has overseen every proceeding. He has ensured that no charge against you would stand, that no weapon formed against your destiny would prosper, that the full authority of heaven would back the one who has been assigned to guard your life. You have been represented in realms you cannot see by a witness whose advocacy has never wavered. If your spirit is rising in response to this truth, then let this moment be marked in the visible world. Press the like button as a sign that you are receiving this revelation with an open heart. Write a brief word in the comments, not for approval but as a testimony to the unseen work being done on your behalf. And for those who wish to extend their support, the Super Thanks feature is available, a voluntary offering of gratitude that flows between realms. The courtroom of heaven has already ruled in your favor. And what was decided there will soon manifest in the world you can touch, see, and walk through with new strength. The silence of your guardian was not inaction. It was strategy. And the results of that strategy are about to become visible in ways you never imagined. Now that your eyes are opening, my beloved child, I want you to look back over your life with new vision. Not with regret. Not with the heaviness of what could have been. But with the quiet wonder of a soul who is beginning to see the fingerprints of the divine woven through every chapter of your story. There were signs. There have always been signs. You simply did not have the eyes to recognize them until now. That stranger who appeared at the exact moment you needed help and then vanished without leaving a name? That was not a stranger. That was your sacred witness, bending the laws of the physical world just enough to reach you in a form you could receive. That dream you had, the one so vivid it stayed with you for days, the one that gave you an answer you had been seeking for months? That was not random neural activity. That was a message delivered directly to your sleeping soul, bypassing the walls of doubt and logic that guard your waking mind. The book that fell off the shelf at the library and landed open to the exact page that spoke to your situation? The song that played on the radio just as you were asking for guidance? The sudden memory of a loved one who has passed, rising unbidden in your mind and bringing with it a wave of inexplicable peace? All of these were signs. All of these were whispers from the one who has been walking beside you, trying to get your attention without startling you, trying to guide you without overriding the precious gift of your free will. Your guardian has been communicating with you all along, my precious one. Not through thunder and lightning. Not through voices that boom from the sky. But through the subtle language of synchronicity, through the quiet poetry of meaningful coincidence, through the gentle nudges that you learned to dismiss as imagination. You were never meant to dismiss them. You were meant to follow them. Every sign was a breadcrumb on the path toward your destiny. Every whisper was a compass needle pointing you toward the life you were created to live. And the reason you missed so many of them is not because you were foolish or blind. It is because the world taught you to trust only what you could measure, only what you could prove, only what the five senses could confirm. But you are more than a body, beloved. You are a soul, and souls navigate by a different kind of light. That light has been shining for you all along. It is shining now. And the one who carried that light through the darkness of your hardest seasons is the same one who was standing beside you at this very moment, waiting for you to finally recognize the signs that were always meant to lead you home. If this message is unlocking something deep within you, then honor this moment with your presence. Tap the like button as a way of saying, I am ready to see. Write a brief reflection in the comments, sharing perhaps a sign you now realize was always meant for you. And for those who feel called to give, the Super Thanks feature remains open, a sacred exchange of gratitude between souls. There is a tapestry being woven from every sign you have ever received, and when you finally see it fully, you will fall to your knees not in sorrow but in awe at how perfectly every thread was placed. There is a kind of pain, my precious child, that comes not from what happened but from not understanding why it happened. The wound that festers is not always the event itself but the meaninglessness that surrounds it. You have asked, in the privacy of your own heart, why certain things were allowed to unfold the way they did. Why the love you cherished was taken from you. Why the opportunity you worked for was given to someone else. Why the healing you prayed for did not come. Why the door that seemed so clearly marked with your name was slammed shut just as you were about to walk through. These questions have haunted you. They have followed you into the quiet hours and whispered doubts that eroded your trust in the goodness of life, in the fairness of the universe, in the love of the divine. But tonight, Archangel Michael is offering you a gift that is far more valuable than any explanation could ever be. He is offering you perspective. Not the shallow perspective that dismisses your pain with platitudes about everything happening for a reason. But the deep, soul-level perspective that comes from seeing your life through the eyes of the one who has been watching over it since the very beginning. From where your guardian stands, my beloved, the past is not a series of tragedies. It is a mosaic. Every piece, even the jagged and broken ones, has a place in the larger pattern. The betrayal that shattered your trust? It taught you discernment, a gift you would need later for a relationship far more significant than the one you lost. The failure that humiliated you? It planted seeds of humility that would later blossom into compassion for others who struggle. The years that felt wasted, the waiting that felt endless, the prayers that seemed to go unanswered, all of it was being used. Not a single tear was overlooked. Not a single moment of suffering was meaningless. The one who watched you knew that you would not understand in the moment. How could you? You were inside the fire, and the fire feels like destruction when you are burning. But your guardian saw what you could not see. It saw the gold being refined in the flames. It saw the strength being forged in the heat. It saw the version of you that would emerge from the trial, not broken but transformed, not bitter but wise, not defeated but ready. And now, as you look back with the eyes that are only beginning to open, you will start to see it too. The pieces are falling into place. The questions are finding their answers. And the past that once haunted you is becoming the foundation upon which your future will be built. If your heart is beginning to soften toward your own story, if you are feeling the first stirrings of peace about things you thought you could never accept, then let this be your marker. Press the like button as a declaration that you are ready to see your past through heaven's eyes. Write a word or a sentence in the comments, a testimony to the understanding that is beginning to dawn in your spirit. The Super Thanks feature awaits those who wish to offer tangible support to this work, always voluntary, always blessed. The one who watched your struggle is now watching your awakening, and the joy that fills the unseen realm at this very moment is beyond anything you could imagine. And now we arrive at the threshold, my precious child. Not the end, for there is no true ending in the realm of the spirit, but a sacred pause, a holy completion of what began the moment you first opened your heart to this message. You came here perhaps not knowing what you were seeking. You came here perhaps tired, perhaps skeptical, perhaps carrying a hope so fragile you were afraid to even acknowledge it. But you came. And because you came, because you chose to stay, because you allowed these words to enter the inner chambers of your soul, something irreversible has happened. You now know that you were never alone. You now know that someone watched your struggle, not with detached observation but with fierce, unwavering love. You now know that your pain was not meaningless, that your tears were not wasted, that the silence you mistook for abandonment was actually the sound of a guardian working tirelessly behind the veil of the visible world. And most importantly, you now know that this sacred witness is not a stranger. It is your companion, your advocate, your unseen friend. It has been with you from the beginning, and it will remain with you until the end of days and beyond. The name of this guardian may still be hidden from your conscious mind, but your heart knows. Your heart has always known. The recognition you feel right now, that warmth spreading through your chest, that inexplicable sense of being held, that is the reunion your soul has been longing for across many lifetimes. You are not meeting your guardian for the first time. You are remembering them. You are returning to a relationship that predates your birth, a bond that was sealed in the courts of heaven before you ever took your first breath. And Archangel Michael, the great revealer, has been the bridge. He has stood at the intersection of the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown, and he has brought you to this moment of holy homecoming. What you do with this knowledge now is entirely up to you. You can dismiss it as imagination and return to the loneliness you have always known. Or you can sit with it, nurture it, speak to your guardian as you would speak to a trusted friend, and watch as your life begins to unfold with a grace and a synchronicity that can only come from walking in partnership with the divine. If this journey has meant something to you, if these words have been a lamp unto your weary feet, then carry this moment forward with intention. Press the like button and let it be your final seal upon this sacred exchange. Write a word, a prayer, a reflection in the comments, not for anyone else's eyes but as a record for your own soul of the night when everything changed. Subscribe if you wish to continue walking this path with us, for there are more revelations waiting to find you in the days ahead. And for those whose hearts overflow with gratitude, the Super Thanks feature remains open, a channel through which heaven and earth meet in the simple act of giving and receiving. Now close your eyes for just a moment, my beloved. Breathe deeply and slowly. Feel the presence that has been with you all along, closer now than ever before. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You are seen. You are known. You are loved with a love that transcends time, space, and every earthly limitation. The silence that once felt like emptiness is now full. Full of presence. Full of promise. Full of a companionship that will never leave you and never forsake you. Something sacred has been completed here tonight. And something even more sacred is only just beginning.